So that means it's recording. This is Michael Devellano from Cloud Advisory. We provide companies with basically linked funnels, which are direct prospecting on your behalf through LinkedIn, targeting an audience and creating conversations with the ideal prospect that you want to connect with. And one of the things that's come out of this is, okay, great, I'm out there connecting with my ideal client every day. Then what? What do you do with all the people, or what do you do on LinkedIn after that? And I think one of the biggest things is what's your content strategy. And particularly, I think right now, if you look at like all the content that's out there, the most effective content is going to be video. That's assuming that you're making good video content, I guess. And so what I've come up with is really a framework that I think will help you, first of all, create content, and second, publish it to LinkedIn. And I think right now is an amazing time to publish to LinkedIn, particularly video content. They're really rewarding video content creators that upload native video to LinkedIn. And this is what I mean by that. LinkedIn is probably the last place, first of all, where I can publish my content to YouTube and then put the player in a post on LinkedIn, and they'll still show the player and allow it to stream, or not stream, but to stream basically non-live video. I think live video might even work also, but I haven't tested that. However, they are incentivizing video content creators by sending traffic to those who upload a native video. That is where I take the video file, I upload it, and it's hosted on LinkedIn. And so right now is a great time if you're creating video content and putting it natively on LinkedIn. You're going to get a whole bunch of extra attention and traffic. And they also have a fairly new feature where you can actually tag your videos, and obviously they'll look at the the actual text content of the video post. But great time to do that. So then the question becomes, what's your strategy for creating content, and what content do you create? And what I've done is I've created or pulled together kind of a framework that you might find useful, so I wanted to share that with you, at least in a couple stages. So the first thing, we talked about creating video and native video. I think video, by the way, is very compelling if done right versus writing articles. Articles are still going to be effective, and you're going to get some SEO cred out of that. But I think when you're competing against moving pictures and audio, it's going to be tougher and tougher to get attention around just print content. And one thing you can do is if you're creating video content, you can send it to something like a rev.com where they create a transcription for about $1 per minute of whatever your video content is, and you can publish both written and video and audio if you want. So here's what I was thinking was, what's the framework? So what content should you be creating? First of all, I think the most important thing for all of us is to create basically our story of why. And I'll tell you what that means. Normally what we do is we tell people, what we do. It's like, well, I provide growth marketing by creating linked funnels. Okay, so now you know what I do, right? How you do it, though, it starts to differentiate what's special about how you do it. And so people start to resonate a little bit more with that, right? So it's not just like, great, you prospect for people on LinkedIn, and then how do you do it? Well, we connect our customers with their ideal client every day and send them very specific messages that create a conversation. Okay, so that's a little bit more unique, right? So you want to create video that tells what you do and how you do it. That's pretty normal. The story of why, and I pulled this from Simon Sinek. He has a book that's by the same name. Really what that is then it's telling the story of why you decided to do this. What problem exists in the world, for example, that was so compelling that you had to create this business or create this service or motivated you to work with this company or to sell this product. The story of why, the idea there is that you're saying, maybe you're like me and you're in a specific category. Maybe you're a business owner and you have this problem, and I thought it was really compelling that so many people had this problem and I had this problem. Maybe you can relate. So now you're creating a relatable piece of content and you're resonating with that very target audience that you're connecting with, in particular on LinkedIn. And then you're saying, this is what motivated me to do this thing in this unique and special way. And that really is, the idea is that you're trying to create emotional attachment. So I think that's very important video content to create to start off. That's really the one thing that I would record is I would, tell what you do and how you do it that's special, but then tell the story of why. What journey did you follow to get to this point? Another important thing, and I'll talk about this on another day because I don't want this to be real long, and this is what I'm going to talk about over the next couple of days, is I want you to think then, after you create that, is what is your buyer's journey? So before the point where they're ready to talk to you about buying something, what is the journey that they go through to come to that point? And there's very important video content to create at each of the 4 phases that people go through, and I'll talk about those phases in a video tomorrow. And then I also want to talk about probably the day after, the Pastor formula. And this was taken from a book, Copy That Sells, and it was really meant for I don't know, really sales letters of how to create compelling content that sells. And it's an excellent framework also for video. So on the 3rd day of this, this being the first, I'll talk about the Pastor framework and how that can help you create video content, not just one time to sell through video, but then ongoing, and how this relates to the buyer's journey. So I also have an idea for a service, because one of the big things, for example, we created Linked Funnels as a done-for-you service. Initially, it was really, we created for ourselves, so there was a repeatable process and a consistent approach to reaching our ideal client every single day. And now we do that for clients on a done-for-you service. What if there was something similar to that for video? So I want you to think about this and maybe leave a comment below if this would be interesting. What if you could pay a monthly fee, and I'm thinking one of 2 things, or both. What if you could show up once a month to a WeWork location in one of their really nice boardrooms, and for an hour you got to shoot video content with us? I'm thinking we start this in LA area, so if you're in LA, this would apply to you initially, but it doesn't have to be long term. You could show up once a month, and we take you through a framework and almost interview or talk to you, and then out of that you got 5 to 10 pieces of video content every single month that you could then publish on LinkedIn. Would that be interesting to you? And what I'm looking for is, we would produce that content, edit it, and then help you publish it to LinkedIn and probably other platforms as well. Would that be interesting to people, and that solve a problem for people? Because I get the idea that people that I talk to have trouble producing consistent video content. I know for me it's it's something I have to work at. And then if that was a recurring thing where once a month you got to do it, and maybe it's also becomes, let's say you're not in LA and you don't have time to go to a WeWork, maybe we could do it over Skype. But I think it's more compelling and looks a lot better if we can do it in a confined environment. So you show up for an hour, you get asked specific questions, you answer them to the person off camera or on camera, might be me, might be somebody else, and then you just show up once a month and you have 5 to 10 pieces of video content you can publish and tell your story. So I don't know if that's interesting. Leave a comment below if that would be something you'd be interested in playing with this idea. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about the 4 stages that a buyer goes through in their buyer journey to the point where they're ready to be sold. So really, how you could create content that relates to answering questions in each of those 4 stages and what those 4 stages are. And then the following day, I'm going to talk about the Pastor formula and how that applies to your video content. All right, I hope you have an awesome day. Leave your comments below. Let me know if that would be an interesting service and what that would have to cost or look like for it to be valuable to you. And I will see you tomorrow for additional content on the 4 stages.